Little did we know that the Avi Casino in Bullhead City has Memorial Day fireworks right near their dry camping area. But it's so nice they appreciate us. Howdy folks, this is Keith Bowen. This is Hard Rock University Where the Heck Is It edition. We're out here with one of our students, Chris, and his son, who's somewhere on that hillside yonder near Wickenburg, Arizona. And this is why I do not have unlimited faith in electronics. There's a claim that he was looking for, and he has the latitude, longitude thereof according to the previous claim records, right? That's where you got those numbers? Uh-huh. Okay. They supposedly GPS the claim corners, and you think, wow, that'd be pretty simple to find. Well, the problem is, as far as we can tell, right up there is the direction we need to go, about another 1 point some miles, and it ain't near that to that ridge top. This is the road that the GPS brought us up. Came from up there. You can't see the road, but it's there, and brought us up into here, and now it looks like where we actually want to go is over that ridge. So here's what I tend to do in a similar situation. When you're going someplace you haven't been before, and especially if you don't know it very well, go ahead and if you got the lat lon or the GPS, actually you need the lat lon for Google Earth, take the latitude longitude coordinates, plug them into Google Earth, and go to satellite view. That'll give you a picture of the area right around whatever it is you want. Then zoom out, look for your access routes, figure out what looks to be a good access route, and then do enough zooming in and out and panning and printing out photographs to where you have a satellite map that'll get you from civilization or the end of the pavement or whatever last landmark you're comfortable with to where you need to go. Because right now we are in a situation where we're not sure exactly what to do about it. Hopefully his son up there without radio communications has gone to the top of that ridge. I can see him moving. I doubt he'll show on the camera here. He's now kind of working his way back down. Hopefully he's gone up to the top of the ridge, looked around, and seen something that he can identify. But we have no idea at this point how we're going to get to it. This is an interesting little mine here. This looks like the guard shack, probably office or whatever. That's cinder block, so it's relatively recent, like I'm guessing, you know, later than the 30s. Obviously a very small scale mine, because the crushing equipment is a device, I'm not exactly sure what you call it, although the person I was talking with yesterday, yes Brent, that's you, I was talking with you, you told me the name of this thing, and I promptly forgot it. They're pretty common down in South America. Here's a discovery stake here. This is the Vulcan mine. That discovery stake, the paperwork says the Vulcan mine, but again, with no cell service, nothing on paper, doesn't do us any good. If we had a GPS map, USGS map, we might very well be able to figure out where the heck we were and where to go. And this is steel wheels filled with concrete on a steel trough. Put the ore and water in here. This thing spins around, crushes it, and it washes out down here. And then your mill separation equipment would be down here. That's a shop. I have not found the adit yet. We haven't really been looking just yet. So I will proceed and let you know what the heck we find out. Well, after scouting on foot to find where the road was and everything, and using GPS, we think we're pretty close to where we need to be. And the scenery is very nice. Weather's good right now. It's, I'd say, in the mid-70s up here. Somebody's got his house out in the middle of nowhere, which is way cool. And this is the scenery. So, let's see what we can find. The GPS says we're damn close. Okay, we're up on top of this ridge here, and we found 2 shafts and a couple little small prospect pits along a single structure. It looks like we have a basalt dike on the left. Basalt is very impermeable. Water can't get through it. So if you had hydrothermal solutions on the right here, it comes up against that, it can't get through it, it's forced along it. It can actually even pry rock apart if needed. But that is a complex quartz vein. I can see at least 2 events, possibly many more, but at least 2. You can see one place there where wall rock is entrained between sections of the vein. It's got mineralization, and you've got the most important thing, a shaft on it. Now, this shaft goes down quite a bit. Let's take a big rock, see if we can make a noise. I'm guessing somewhere around 40-50 feet. They did not dig that for fun and exercise. They did it because they thought it was valuable. Now, I've walked this on surface, and you can trace this dike and other workings all the way over. You see that gray dump over there? That's another shaft, which we'll walk over to. This is one structure here. My guess is there was higher grade here and higher grade there, and that's why they sunk along it. The other spots, they just kind of did little prospect pits. They didn't get as good a grade, so they just moved on. Let's go over and take a look. So here's the first of the little prospect pits. Here you can see your basalt right in here. Then you have your quartz, then the prospect pit. Now what's interesting is they left all this quartz in place. They were interested in what was on this side of the vein, or that side of the vein, or whatever. Here you have what looks to be bedrock in place here. So this is the area I would sample right in here and right over there. I would also sample this vein just for thoroughness. You're here, you might as well take some home with you. Here we are at the next prospect pit, and you can see the basalt dike really well here. It just continues on, and they were interested in what was right next to it here, but this is not that big hard bull quartz on that side. There's a little bit of it here, but that's where you'd sample both sides. So here we are up in a little prospect pit near the east shaft, the one I haven't shown you yet. And we have wall rock that's heavily altered. See here. And we have this material here which looks superficially like quartz. And indeed, when I first saw it, I thought it was quartz. However, First things, this surface here where it's got kind of divots in it, that's somewhat typical of limestone. Take a sharp knife, take the point, and scratch it. Now, see all the dust being created? That's from the rock itself. A knife will not scratch quartz. This is calcite. If you were to take diluted hydrochloric acid and put it on that, it should fizz like could be. Same thing here. That looks like quartz, typical mineralized quartz. But look at how it just gouges right out. That's typical of calcite. Very interesting. There may even be quartz veins and calcite veins right next to each other that to the eye look the same but aren't. That may be how they're determining what they get. It's hard to tell. But that's just one of those quick little field tests that'll tell you whether or not it is in fact quartz. Because if it's quartz, it will take metal off of the blade. See, that's more like quartz. So here we have the last shaft. You don't have anything nearly as clear cut in terms of a nice quartz vein. We have wall rock here. Technically it looks like a footwall since it's slightly on the bottom, but I just call it the south wall. Then you have a messed up zone with multiple layers. And then you have the north wall rock there. And you would sample each of those layers separately to see what was going on. They were interested in something there. And we've also found calcite and quartz, so you need to identify those. Let's see how serious they were here. About 100 feet deep. They were serious. They weren't playing games. They were chasing something they thought was interesting. You can also tell that by the size of the dump. So, for this, I don't see an easy way to sample it, and certainly not safely without ropes. Take a rope, go off of this side, take some samples, take ropes, go off the other side, take samples. That's the only way you could really tell what they were doing. But this is definitely significant, and if it was on my claim, I'd spend some effort finding out just exactly what's going on. Well, we think we finally found the place by driving all the way around those mountains and coming back in. There's a claim stake down there. And Chris is down trying to identify the location. There's some workings. There's one over there. There's another one down right there. I think there's one right there. But it's now about 2:30 in the afternoon. The sun is burning in the sky. I've had 4 hours sleep. And even though the air temperature isn't that bad, about 80, I don't have the strength to just go frolicking about. But the view is really cool. Now we have all the samples crushed with an exemplar rock. Now we're going to split them down. So now we're at Chris's house panning out the samples. So far the results have been, in a couple cases, interesting, but nothing exciting because we haven't seen any significant quantities of good free gold. But we found some interesting minerals that look superficially malleable. Looks like they get mashed instead of crushed. And there might be some lead, some electrum, silver, not sure. But it's probably worth sending off to a lab to get a good idea. But I'm not getting a big adrenaline rush here.
There.
Okay, now, we have run into something interesting over in one of the mines in the area we were looking at yesterday. And that is a heavy, light-colored mineral. Look at how the black-colored minerals come right off the top, leaving this white. Now my guess is that's scheelite. But whatever it is, that's not an ordinary fill. Now, we're here at Chris's still, and I brought some crushed rock with me for specifically this kind of purpose. He wants to learn how to pan microfine gold, but he doesn't have any rock that's got enough gold in it to really make it obvious what's going on. So I brought some with me, and this is stuff that I crushed through the impact mill. And he brought up a point, and that is, this is really fine material because I crushed it through the impact mill. It's like 100 mesh minus. A lot of it's probably 200 mesh. It behaves a lot differently. You take it, you get it wet very carefully, turn it to a liquid, put a little extra water and keep it all in the pan, let it settle, and then carefully pour out the water. This is after about 10 iterations here. And the reason is because that real fine stuff just turns into a liquid, a slurry, that's so thick it will carry the gold particles. So what you have to do is put water in it. Now it's starting to settle into something useful here, something controllable. Now I can start panning it like usual. But until that point, you just gotta mix it carefully, let it settle, carefully pour off the thin slurry. It's not even gonna be water. And then do it again and again until now you got something. I can stick my fingers down and I can feel a layer there. Before I couldn't, it would just go right to the bottom of the pan. And now we have something that behaves like conventional materials. And 2/3 of the material has disappeared doing that. You know, we weren't really conventionally panning at all, but that gives you an idea of what can happen. Happy prospecting, and keep it safe out there.